program this evening is two of our fine organizations. And I keep thinking of how we take care of each other in the village. And near the top of the list are these two organizations. And why, after all of the publicity in the Globe, we spent 15 minutes on TV6, and we still draw a small audience. But you're here, and we thank you. To introduce the program, Catherine Bryans.
Thank you, President Straziuso. So glad you're president this year. As he said, I'm Catherine Bryans, and I am here to introduce to you our speakers for this evening. And I'm so privileged to have worked with two of them, both on the when I was on the foundation board. Mike was on the foundation board, and we have some others. Marianne Levine is still on the foundation board. And Susan Thomas is currently. Good to know. And Bob Hatch. Same people are on all these boards. It's really cool. No, we need some new people. It's important in this community, and Mike and I have found this as a docent in the community, to be able to talk about the foundation and disaster preparedness, because it's part of what makes this community so incredible. I don't know of any other community that volunteers have banded together, residents, and said, we need to provide emergency services to people who are caught in a devastating thing. And we've had some floods, we've had things happen in the community that 20 years ago, or a little over 20 years now, the foundation has been providing services on an emergency basis for residents, and long-term providing services to residents who maybe don't have the finances they used to. Surprise, I'm one of those. A lot of us are. So what's happened is this community has gone together, as well as disaster preparedness, and I think you all have won some awards with the help of Tim Moy in Orange County for the kind of a program that they put on. I mean, both of these are stellar and should be honored, respected, and remembered, especially the foundation, when you need to donate to a 501c3 that has total interest in residents in this community. It's important to remember that as a former fundraiser and still doing it in the community, you can't ask people from out of this community necessarily to donate, because our services are just for our residents. So on behalf of all of us at Friends of the Village, I almost said my other point, Friends of the Village, I'd like to introduce Marcy Seinwald, who is president of the foundation, Beth Perrick, who is, are you vice president now of foundation? She's also on GRF and has been active on Third Mutual as well. And Kathleen Matthew, who is with Disaster Preparedness, and they're going to be providing a program for you this evening. And we'll have Marcy introduce, and then Beth's going to do her thing with a PowerPoint, and then we'll go on, and we're going to have a show and tell so you can actually see what is. And I know two of them because I have one in my home, the backpack, and the red one in my car. And it's a smart thing to have. So we're going to talk about those as well. So Marcy?
Thank you. I don't know that I need this. Do I? Really? I'm pretty loud.
Marcy, could you tell them we'll have questions and answers at the end of the program?
Okay, I have the mic on. Is there anybody here who was previously from New York? Oh, goody, goody, goody. I used to be a commissioner with the town of Islip in my other life. I was in charge of human services for that. It's a municipality of about 300,000. And as part of my job, I used to have to go out and do the rubber chicken circuit. And I would start off by saying to audiences that I never met before, do you know the 3 greatest lies in the world? Everybody knows the first one. The check is in the mail. Do you know what the second one is? I'll still love you in the morning. And the third one is, I'm from the government and I'm here to help you. Well, I'm from the foundation and we are here to help you. I know the topic tonight is disaster preparedness, but disasters can come in big size in terms of fires or floods or earthquakes, and they can come in a little size when you run out of money. And for residents in this village, that disaster is just as real and just as devastating. But before I talk about what the foundation does today to help residents, and I will be brief, I have learned that over the years, I'm going to turn it over to Beth Parak, who's going to give you some understanding of how we started and why we started.
Hi, I'm Beth Parak, and I'm going to talk to you like a teacher, right? Because that's what I've been for 100 years. Anyway, we have a little PowerPoint that you can look at and see. This is going to tell, this first PowerPoint is a little short one about the foundation and what we do. So, how am I going to give you the signal to change? Just change. Since 1997, and that's the year that we started the foundation. 1996, we were looking at it. 1997 really started. We've given over $2 million to Laguna Woods Village residents who have an emergency need. Change. The foundation, this is another thing that really people don't seem to think about or remember. We have taxi vouchers that you can pick up in the social services office, and they're taxi vouchers for you to use. This is for needy residents to travel to healthcare providers throughout Orange County. Our bus system takes you to your medical appointments nearby, but farther out in Orange County, you can get a taxi voucher if you are a needy resident from social services. Next. I wonder if I stood over there, if I could click it. Okay, donations, this is how you can donate. Give us a check, give us a cash, use PayPal. And if you would like to donate, and this is a wonderful thing, remember us in your will or trust. Remember the foundation in your will or trust, and as you pass away, you will be helping your neighbors in need. Thank you. These are a few of the things that we do to help residents in need. Grocery cards, payment for prescriptions, utility bills, respite care, caregivers, ambulance, just a few of the things. And here are some of the programs that we support. In the very beginning, we began in the 1990s supporting programs through AgeWell. So the Meals on Wheels program that's provided by AgeWell, we provide funds to them to provide meals to residents of Laguna Woods Village. Remember, that's the criteria. You have to be a resident here. You have to live here. Okay, so, and we also, this year, have started weekend meals for residents that social services have determined are in need of food on the weekends, that they cannot afford to buy food for the weekends. And so we are buying food for, I think Marcy can correct me, about 30 residents who are in need of food on the weekend, and the foundation, and holidays, yes. And the foundation is providing that. Adult daycare services, we help fund their services. And every Tuesday, we have a transportation to South County Outreach Food Pantry. And people who are needy are able to go. The good news, any donation you make, who's it benefiting? Only our residents, only Laguna Woods Village residents. And this is a repeat, credit card or PayPal. And if you want to, I know that many people give as a it's so hard to think of what to give as a birthday gift to a friend in the village now. I mean, we're of an age where we've got about everything we need, and we've already gotten rid of a lot of stuff, so what do we need? And so we have people that make a donation to the foundation for their remembrance of their friend on their birthday. So instead of a birthday card, you get a card from the foundation saying, your friend Susie Q is remembering you and saying happy birthday with a donation to the foundation. Okay. So, people who have a need go to social services department and say, I need this, and they demonstrate and talk about why they need help at this time. Social services then looks to see where they can find that assistance for them. If they can't find it anywhere else, then they go to the foundation. They write up the data, they send an email, and 2 of the board members say yes or no to yes, we can send this, no, we're not going to. I can't remember ever saying no. And then another member of the foundation writes a check to the service provider, not to the person who's in need. The recipients remain anonymous to the foundation, and all assistance payments are, and it's underlined because it's so important for people to know, they're made directly to the service providers. We are a community of givers. Laguna Woods Village is, and we acknowledge and give thanks for every donation. We have people who give a donation every month, $5, $10 a month. It helps. The big donations, that really helps too. Laguna Woods Village clubs and organizations have donated many thousands of dollars to the foundation of Laguna Woods Village. The men's golf club has been absolutely stellar, but there have been many, many, many clubs that give us money on a consistent basis. They raise funds and they give it to the foundation to help their neighbors. So we talked about a birthday, maybe in memory of someone, an anniversary, any of their congratulations. You can donate online. You can mail in a check. You can provide a request in your estate planning. There's a mailbox. It's not really a mailbox outside of the foundation door on the first floor of the community center. As you're walking past the elevators, if you take the first right past the elevators, if you're going in the front door, go past the elevators, turn right, first door on your left is the foundation office. Many times there's not someone in there. Sometimes there are. But look to your right and you will see a box in the wall that says mail deposit for the foundation, and you can put a check in an envelope in there and with your request on it. Okay. It is you who gives the helping hand to your friends and neighbors. That's how we get our funds, is from our neighbors. So it tells you send a check or pay online today. Thank you very much. The Foundation of Laguna Woods Village. And that is the PowerPoint that tells you about what we do. So now Joan's going to have the task of going back from there and finding the next little PowerPoint that's going to give you an idea of the history of the foundation. And this is not the entire history, every little piece, because I'm afraid I would have people falling asleep in the chairs, and we don't want that to happen. So the history, remember, started in 1996, 97. A group of people got together and said there was a need, and the biggest need that was identified, there were some heavy, heavy rains, and there was flooding. And folks needed to get out of their houses and stay in a hotel for a bit, and needed some help with packing and the foundation came through for them. This is a brief historical overview of the foundation. In the beginning, 1997, so there we are talking about that flood, and then the next year, they put together a slush fund of money just for social services to have there if there were a small immediate need, and they could give money to people that had walked in through that door in social services and expressed a real emergency need. 1998 was the first fundraising letter that we sent out, and as a result of that, 1,000 donations came in. Pretty good, pretty good. One fundraising letter. Also in 1998, the nine-hole, not the big golf course, the nine-hole golf club planned a fundraising event. And then the next year, we supported residents that were participating. We supported Age Well Meals on Wheels program for our own residents. And also at that time, we received a formal thank you from Marilyn Diddy, who was the lead of Age Well until just recently she stepped down. And so we actually would be meeting, board members met with her on an annual basis, and sometimes even more often, several of us on the board would meet with her to get updates and kind of like track the need of people, residents in the community. So here we are, we're going into the 21st century, 2000. The foundation president visited donors of $1,000 or more to thank them personally. We contributed to South County Senior Services to assist village residents. We continued with our bi-yearly fundraising letters. Catherine Bryans can tell you about them. She wrote a few of those for us. 2006, we provided additional funds to AgeWell to support village residents in their programs. They asked for more money, and we were able to provide. Okay, so now we're up to 2009, and that year we took a really good look at the individual recipient, the amount of money that we would give to a recipient during a calendar year, which is important. We're not an endless font of money. It's emergency need for people who are in need. And when we reach that level, then we can't give any more, and they'll have to find other assistance. The Friendly Visitor Program, people visiting people in their homes, distributed goodie bags to the residents that they visited that year. And the first foundation public service announcement was viewed on Village Television, which was TV6 at that time. Now it has the new name, Village Television. There was a theater presentation by Barbara Rush and titled An Independent Woman, and they raised several $1,000s, I can't remember exact amount, to benefit the foundation. So different ways that we've been able to have money donated. So reaching out, in 2010, we received a $10,000 grant from the city of Laguna Woods, and each year we did until this year. 2 years ago, and then the city was not able to provide any more grants. The Foundation Speakers Bureau was set up in about 2010, and Mike was, I know, active in that, Mike Strazioso, and we purchased the Foundation's Neighbor Helping Neighbor buttons for our volunteers, so they could wear a button that said Foundation Neighbors Helping Neighbors. And the website, the foundation website was begun, and now we are a part of the village website. You can click and find us there. So reaching out to our neighbors. In 2010, our database was established, making our lives easier. Foundation board members attended foundation board member attended new resident meetings and explained what I'm explaining now, what the foundation's all about. We began funding those taxi vouchers I talked to you about, and we began a representation. We were visible image on Facebook and on the president's and in the president's council. And PayPal was set up to help facilitate donations for those who wanted to use that venue. Keeping on, we put together a cookbook, and Marion Levine was the queen of the cookbook. She really worked and pulled that together and got it together, and that was a really, really wonderful fundraising event for us. Note card sales with photo scenes of Laguna Woods Village. Pat Wilkinson took all of those photos, and we made money with those cards, and the social services staff gave us, and they are continuing to give us, a yearly report of activities to the foundation. In 2012, we received an estate contribution that is to be distributed over 5 years, was to be, since 2017 was the end of it. Social services reported an increase in requests for medical services and electricity. And you know, electricity is a big one for us because the prices are going up and up and up, and folks that are on a really tight budget, it's really difficult when it's really cold or really hot and they need to use that electricity. The annual report was sent out with the spring mailing, and the annual retreat for the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village board members was begun in 2012. 2014, we awarded a grant to South County Outreach to provide services to the village residents, and that relationship continues. The men's golf club tournament raised $15,500 for the foundation, and that tradition continues. This year, their goal is $20,000 to see if they can raise it for the foundation. The Sunshine Variety Shows continue to raise funds for the foundation, and the Amazon Smile program was begun to raise funds. So, the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village, we continue to address the mission of the foundation, and that mission is to serve the residents of Laguna Woods Village by providing temporary financial aid to qualified, economically disadvantaged persons who are residents of Laguna Woods Village. And we're continuing to add programs to assist, such as adult daycare, the Braille Institute, South County Outreach Pantry, transportation, and we are continuing, and I thank you. And continuing with this is Marcy Scheinwald, president of the foundation.
As I said in the beginning, disasters can be little or they can be large. Working with the Social Services Department, which the foundation works hand in hand with them, we see some of those smaller disasters. I'd like to talk about those before we talk about the bigger ones. We have had residents who literally get to the third week of the month and they no longer have money to buy groceries for the rest of the month. We have residents who are discharged from the hospital and their insurance and their personal resources don't pay for caregiver services. We have residents who find that they have become visually impaired and they on their own cannot pay for the magnifier or any of the other equipment that helps them. We have residents who find because of increasing disability or isolation can no longer provide their meals on their own. We have residents because of mental disability are incapable of organizing their day, finding meaningful activities, and giving their spouse or significant other some relief. That is where the foundation steps in on what I call the small disaster level. We, as Beth outlined, provide funds through social services when people's money simply runs out. Think of it. Laguna Woods Village has been here for a little over 52 years. We have people who are living here 30, 40 years. There was a woman this morning who addressed Third Mutual. She had been living here 32 years. I hope she has a pension. I didn't ask her. But think about it if she's only doing it on Social Security and what that means in terms of stretching her resources to make it through the month. That's where we help out. But we don't do it alone. We work with social services. They vet all of the individuals who request our assistance. All anonymous. We pay the vendor only. We now work with the Braille Institute. When they find a resident who cannot afford the equipment or assistance they need, they send a request, we approve it, we pay for it. We fund Age Well Meals on Wheels. We feed in the village between 150 and 175 residents monthly. That is to the tune of $7,000 a month. And as Beth outlined, we now pay for a weekend and holiday meal program for what we call food insecure individuals to the tune of $4,000 a month. We are the deficit financer for adult daycare services for any resident in the village who cannot afford daycare services through Alzheimer's and has been identified as having dementia or early stages of Alzheimer's. We fund a transportation program to the food pantry. A little known fact, I just got the annual report today from the food pantry. 133 residents from Laguna Woods Village regularly used the food pantry last year. We also gave South County Outreach, the food pantry, a small grant to help them take care of our residents. Those are small disasters. I have an information sheet. On that, I've listed the agencies we work with and the contact numbers, and I'll leave it on the back table. I'm not saying that anybody in this room needs assistance, but you may know somebody who does. And it's very important to get the word out to neighbors and other people in the village who may need that assistance. When I go out and talk, clearly I always ask for money. In fact, people who see my picture in the Globe say, "Do you always have your hand out?" And yes, I do. But there's another piece that's very important when I speak on behalf of the foundation. If you know somebody who needs help, a first step, get them in touch with social services. If it isn't a social service issue, I have some of the other contact numbers on the sheet. Spread the word. It's really essential because, you know, we all have, how can I say it, priorities or cares or issues that motivate us. I have one. It drives me crazy to think that there might be people without enough food in the village. That is what, you know, the little engine that could, that is what keeps me chugging. But it's important that we all look out for each other. So from that point of view, I will leave those sheets on the back. Now, I talked about little disasters. Clearly, after the events of last winter, we got quite an education in big disasters in California. My daughter lives up in LA with, by chance, my 2 grandchildren. And they were right on the edge of the Skirball fire. That was an eye-opening event for our family. And we were very lucky. We missed the bullet last year in Laguna Woods Village. Hopefully, we will continue to miss the bullet. but it's essential that we all be prepared. So the foundation has done two things this year, moving in that direction. Last year, we were very fortunate to get a bequest from Dr. Lynn Bonine. And with that money, on her passing, we have started to set up a special disaster relief fund. As in 1997, when we stepped in to help people because of flooding, we are now setting aside special money that if a disaster ever does hit us, we will have a special pot of gold. And now I do have my hands out. We hope that that fund will grow. The other thing that we have done recently with the Disaster Preparedness Task Force, we have purchased 20 earthquake kits as a start. The foundation fully paid for them, and we're going to be giving them out through social services to residents who cannot afford to have an earthquake kit on their own in their home. We feel that everybody should be prepared in case of that type of emergency. On that note, I am going to let you see what that kit looks like. Thank you very much for your time.
I was so pleased to be invited, to have our organization invited to be at this program with the foundation, for which I have tremendous admiration. And I am one of those people who have taken people to social services and assisted them in getting some help they need. I think it was pretty much the taxi voucher situation, which is very important. People need to get around, especially to doctors and other important appointments. So, a little bit about our organization before I show you what's in the goodie bags. Our organization has been around for over 30 years. It was started by residents, and tremendous amount of work and organization gone into it. Our model has changed recently, very significantly. Previously, as I said, it was a volunteer organization. We had a little office in the community center that we manned with our volunteers Monday to Friday, 10 to 12. And pretty much it was our job through that office and making presentations like this and health fairs and other events in the village to instruct and help residents know you need to be prepared. Well, there were probably some people that thought we were radical Grammy and Grampy, and it was a Herculean task. And we did the best we could. And there's a lot of people who we owe a tremendous debt of gratitude. Our recent chair, I have been the chair of disaster preparedness. The chair of the disaster preparedness at this time is Chief Moy. When I told him I could not continue in it, he took over. And be still my heart, things have changed so much for the best. It's tremendous. So we have this new model. It's not just volunteers anymore. We always functioned under GRF board. We're not a club, we were an organization under the authority of GRF, and security is under GRF. In the new model, Chief Moy, who has a tremendous experience because he's recently retired from Orange County Sheriff, understands preparation, understands intervention, and understands the company's responsibility to help the residents in an emergency situation. And he also has the contacts and cooperation with the fire department. He knows a lot of people because of his career. So it's an entirely new model, but we're doing the same things we always did. We're doing the same things we always did. We're selling these things in the office. We are interested in every household having these items. Now, we sell them and we sell them at cost, but you can get them anywhere you want to. You know, Home Depot, Walmart, anywhere. It just matters that you have them. And we take no profit when we sell these things. A thing we're working on now is good neighbor building captains. When Chief Moy was hired on by GRF, he was told by the board, get more good neighbor building captains. What is a good neighbor building captain? It's not somebody who's going to save the world. It is your neighbor who knows about you, who knows who lives in your house, who knows if you use a cane, who knows if you need a wheelchair, who knows about you. After a disaster, let's say a shaker, a pretty good shaker, this good neighbor building captain comes to your door, are you okay? Is your house okay? If you're okay and your house is okay, stay right there. There is no need to evacuate. And we will only evacuate people if Chief Moy authorizes us to do so. So, we need a good neighbor building captain for every building. Now, the ones we have now are doing more than one building. They're doing multiple. But we are advancing in age as I stand here speaking to you. You know, so our stamina is not tremendous, okay? You have to, in a disaster or fire or something, you have to check and make sure your own house is okay, your people are okay, and then you go out and check on your neighbors. We have some sheets that are check sheets. Is everybody okay in the house? Yes, no. Is anything wrong with the house? Yes, no. These sheets, after they're completed, they're pre-filled out. The good neighbor already knows who lives in every residence. After they're completed, then these papers are forwarded to a clubhouse. We are not, in a disaster, we're not going to call them a clubhouse anymore. We're going to call them a care and reception center. Okay, should everybody show up at the door of their nearest clubhouse? No. If you imagine, when you're getting ready, you have to think, what am I going to need? Okay, if I turn on the faucet and there's no water that comes out, I still need the water. Where am I going to get it? I better have saved some. I better have saved some. Again, we all have storage problems, you know, because we live in smaller residences. Be creative. Who looks behind the couch? You know, put a couple of jugs of water. Okay. So you need to be prepared with water, most especially, and food. Okay? Food that probably doesn't need cooking. Is peanut butter pretty good stuff? Yes, especially if you're not allergic to peanuts. You know, things that last, that have a good shelf life. Canned goods. You need to have a mechanical can opener because if the electricity's off, gee whiz. So you have to paint yourself a picture. What if this occurred? What am I going to need and how am I going to get it? The first thing I would say, it's so simple, it's ridiculous. Flashlights. What happens here all the time? Power outages, power outages. You better have some flashlights in your house. In every room, you should have a flashlight. You know, you may be watching the telly when poof. So you absolutely have to have flashlights and check on them and get them on sale and all that kind of good stuff, and become students of how to take care of batteries and don't leave it in the flashlight till it deteriorates and ruins the flashlight and is totally unusable. So you need to paint yourself a picture of what you're going to need. So we're here to help you. We have paperwork that tells you this is some of the stuff you're going to need. And it isn't all in that bag either. But it is on this list for the most part. You're going to need 2 weeks of medication. Already packed up. You know, you don't wait till the event occurs to do that. You do it ahead of time. I keep my toiletry go-away bag packed at all times. Do you need to rotate the medicines once or twice a year? Sure you do. Is that really difficult to do? No, it isn't difficult, but it is tedious. But taking care of yourself is tedious, so I've found. I'm an RN by trade, and I've been one for a very long time, and I'm pretty good at taking care of other people. But I'm not too good at taking care of myself. But the good Lord is giving me these extra years to figure that out. And I'm catching on. I'm a slow learner, but I'm catching on. So, again, it's everyone's responsibility to provide for yourself. The company does not have food stores to feed us all. No. They do not have water stores to give us water. No. We live in individual homes, privately held homes. You got to have your own stuff. You got to have your own first aid kit. Okay, you need to know what to do if you have a small injury. Again, if there were a disaster of large proportions, we call 911 now and they're here in 5 minutes. That won't be the case. That will not be the case. They will have to be taking care of the larger community. We're kind of going to have to be taking care of ourselves, or expect that we're taking care of ourselves. If somebody comes in to help us out, all the better. But we need to know how to take care of ourselves. And this is some of the equipment, and this is some of the information that's going to help you. So that's what we're here for. We're in that office 10 to 12, Monday through Friday. If you have a club or organization you'd like to come and have us speak, we go on the road. I'll point out some of the things that are here. This is a water hose. This is a little shorty water hose. What, 6 feet? Probably 6 feet. Okay. Could you take water out of your water heater with a big hose? Yes. But it's a gnarly hose that was in the yard. This is a short little clean hose that can be stored by your water heater. Your water heater is full of clean water that you might need to use. This is, we call him Dan, and he's wearing a mask. That's a very important mask. That is an N95, which is a high particulate mask. Do we have fires around? Oh yeah. I remember several years ago, I had just swept my patio, and I get up in the morning and I look out and it's black, and I'm like, what? It was the fires that weren't really close to us, but the ash blew over. Can you breathe that stuff? No. N95. Do you think if something happens, if a big fire starts, do you think Home Depot will run out of those babies? Yeah. So we sell them for $1. Okay? There's a couple in these bags. This is a car bag. You might be in your car when something happens. Do you know what to do if there was an earthquake and you were in your car? What do you do? Well, number one, you might not notice it because the car is bumping along. If you knew there was an earthquake, pull over. Don't pull under a bridge. Don't pull under power lines. Stay in the car. The car is going to protect you. Okay. What would you do if there was an earthquake and you were in bed? This is a good one. Sounds like a joke, except it's not. Stay in bed and put the pillow over your head. I'm not kidding. So that stuff doesn't fall and whack you. I hope if I went over to your house and I saw your bedroom, I wouldn't see detritus on the wall over the head of your bed and pictures. Maybe an artificial flower, whatever the heck. No stuff over the bed. Does your big furniture need to be anchored to the wall? The bookcase? I love books, and I have some big bookcases, but I don't want to be taken out by my bookcase. You need to anchor that to the wall. I don't like putting holes in walls, but there are certain reasons that you need to do it. An L bracket, there's some things you can get at Home Depot. Your TV could come and smash you. Your china cupboard, some big pieces of furniture, anchor them to the wall. So, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. You need to prepare for your pets. Every pet should have a carrier, okay? Because you can't transport a pet or put it anywhere else without a carrier. You need to have a carrier. You need to have extra food for the pet. You need to have extra water for the pet. I've heard people foolishly say, well, if there was an earthquake, I'd just get in my car. Oh, really? If the road was trashed? Oh, really? You think you'd go somewhere? Should you keep your car pretty well gassed up at all times? Yep. The most you should let it go is halfway. Again, everybody's saying, well, how can we predict this? How could we? We can't. Geologists study and faults and this and that. You don't know how it's going to play out. You have to be prepared. You have to be prepared. But I can tell you, again, security they're working hard. When I think of when I was chair, I'd get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, and I'm thinking, oh, I got to do that, and I got to do that, and I got to, it took over my life. It took over my life. And I'm getting old, and the clock's ticking, tick, 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 tick. So anyway, Chief Moy, I don't like to see him squirm, but I've seen him squirm about these issues. Because again, we're talking about spending money and generators and backup, and there's all kinds of issues that go on and on and on. And, the safety of our buildings and how well are they retrofitted for an earthquake, these are all issues that we have to look at and think. Another thing, I hope to goodness you all have earthquake insurance. Okay, it's not that expensive. Speak to your agent. California made a law that the insurance companies have to take certain number of policies. But those commercials on the TV are not kidding. You need to have earthquake insurance, whether you're an owner or a renter. And I think, I believe Third has the policy for the building on the outside. You got to have a policy for the inside and your personal property. United has just recently gotten insurance. I don't even want to think about how big the premiums are. But you got to do it. You just got to do what you got to do. So again, we want to be friendly. We want to cooperate. We want to look out for each other. This whole idea of looking out for your neighbor and caring, no man is an island. No man is an island. I don't care how independent you think you are and how well prepared you think you are. At some time or other, we all need somebody else to give us a hand in some area. And sometimes the only one that can help you really is your neighbor. It's your neighbor because they live close to you, they see you, they know a little bit about you, they know your habits, et cetera, et cetera. So I ask you to support us, be prepared, talk it up. We don't care who you buy these things for, okay? I have some children that, they're adults, but they're not always that forward-thinking. Can you buy this for a Christmas present or a birthday present? Why not? Why not? So, we're really interested in taking care of our own village, but hey, spread the word. Spread the word. Are your smoke alarms all up to speed. Do you have a carbon monoxide detector if you have any kind of gas in your house, or if you have a fireplace? You should have a carbon monoxide detector. Anyway, so, yes?
Have you heard any discussion about whether or not there might be a service for anchoring some of the things in there?
I guess the handyman thing. The handyman thing, that would probably be one of the things they do. But I would get it done sooner rather than later. Sooner rather than later.
Glass is the big issue.
Yes, I just spoke to my husband the other day. We have some baby locks on the kitchen cabinets, you know, that you have to. I don't want to pick up all the stuff off the floor. No. Oh, you said you can't. Okay, all right. Well, why don't you come on up and. So it's hard to get these good neighbor building captains, but, you know, think about it. Don't do it by yourself. Do you go on vacation? Do you get sick? We all do. Have a couple of people. So this is a car kit.
Where do you get the emergency aprons that you're wearing?
Oh, funny you should ask. We're good neighbor building captains. This was the boss's idea. What a tool. What a tool. You know, it's an advertising, but it's an identifier. So Jim and I are both, Jim, my husband Jim, is my sidekick tonight. He is also an employee. We live here. We've lived here for 12 years. He's an employee. He works for security in dispatch. And he's a busy guy. Anyway.
So let's go over this is the car kit. You have to.
Okay.
This is the car kit. The contents of it: a flashlight, emergency water, a food bar,
You would have to be quite hungry to eat that.
a survival blanket, and you can add additional items. This is the automobile kit.
It would be good to maybe have some light sticks in there. Yes.
How much are these kits?
This is $12. I have the price list right here. The price list with an itemization of what it is. Can you make your own? Of course you can. Of course you can. Okay, this is what we call the big black bag. And
This is the house kit, the one that you keep in your house. The red one is the one you keep in your automobile. They have similar, but this one has more equipment. An emergency poncho, dust masks, those N95 dust masks, a small roll of duct tape, critical, a little collapsible cup, hand sanitizer, light sticks, heavy gloves,
can't pick up glass with bare hands.
a combination flashlight radio signaling device. And it's a wind-up. It doesn't need batteries. It just winds up.
Oh, I think that's a Swiss Army knife. Swiss Army knife.
Little multi-tool Swiss Army knife. Okay, emergency drinking water, emergency survival blanket,
This is a blanket, believe it or not. That is a blanket.
waterproof matches,
Paperwork.
paperwork,
Okay.
emergency contact information. Yours
Talk
should be
about
out of
that.
debt. Every resident should have filled out emergency contact information. If you haven't done it recently, you can stop by at the community center. They can print it for you or show it to you. It exists. It's scanned into a computer. We use them all the time in security. But it has who we would contact if there was an emergency for you. It also has the ability to show if you have special requirements whether you have dementia, if you're on life support like oxygen or dialysis, vision impaired, hearing impaired, phone numbers for your people you want us to call, your doctor, really important stuff that gets called for every day. You should also have your house key on file at the community center. If you get locked out now and you call us, they come right out, they let you in. It takes about a half an hour and they'll bring the key to you. If you're away from your home and there is an emergency, a plumbing emergency, not even necessarily your manor, but the guy upstairs is flooding your house, and we need to get into your house, we only enter with 2 security people at the same time. We don't go in alone, but we get the key and we can go in, or God forbid something happens to you and you can't get to the door, we can get that key so the fire department doesn't break the door down. If you don't have the key on file, they call the locksmith, and that gets very expensive. We help people every day in security, people that are locked out, and it's very simple if they have the key on file. A little first aid kit, another food bar, a little Kleenex tissue, cleansing towelettes, little wipes, a whistle
A whistle.
for
Now,
signaling for help.
Low tech, low tech. You have it on your wrist, you have it. Can you, yelling, you're not always able to be heard. Can you be heard with a whistle? Probably, if you got enough air. Low tech. Not expensive either.
Okay, that's it.
That's it,
And
and
you
it's
can
got
add
plenty of room to put other things in there.
How much?
42. 42. There was a run on them this year with all the emergencies and the fires and the flooding. We had trouble getting them from the company for a while, but we got them back. We got them back. And we are so happy and grateful that the foundation has purchased some to give to individuals that really can't afford it. So that's 42. This is a Red Cross first aid kit. It's got a lot of stuff in here. It looks little, but it's got a lot of stuff. Can you make your own? Sure. Get a Tupperware, put the various things in there. Let's see, what else? Like,
There's a second man kit.
yes. This is considered for one person. We have a second person additional part that has extra water, extra food bar, and that I think is $8. So, and these should be not hidden in the back of the closet, fairly accessible. But, we'll help you think this stuff through. That's what we're here for. So we'd like you to join us because it's a pretty big job. We give free classes all the time. We just had a class yesterday, CPR, by a professional instructor. We don't always give the certification card because not everybody wants it. They're doing it for information. You've all heard of the Heimlich. That's one of the things we teach. The person would probably be deceased by the time the rescue squad got if you didn't know the Heimlich. If you did not know how to do that. And if you're home, you want to just demonstrate? This is of such an easy thing. So, okay, here's the whole lesson. That's if you're by yourself. You're on the counter, the kitchen counter, or a chair. Come on over and, okay. So I'm out at a restaurant, and I'm laughing, and I'm talking. And I start choking. When I'm in a restaurant and I see this happening, I'm kind of checking how things are going. As long as they're coughing, that's the best way to get it up. Cough, 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 and you might even say, keep coughing, keep coughing, keep coughing. If you can no longer cough and you can no longer talk, you're obstructed. And this is how you do it. Okay. Around the middle, a little bit above the belly button. He's got, okay, stop. Well, you leave your hands there. Leave your hands there. Okay, so he's got his hand balled up, and this is wrapped around it for extra. And what you're doing is popping a cork. That's it. You are popping the cork. You are popping the cork. And, if that obstruction does not get resolved, sayonara, sayonara. So anyway, please take our classes. We have first aid, we have CPR. You might need it for your own family, your own self. There's 3 important principles about radiation and preventing injury: time, distance, and shielding. Stay in your house. Close the windows. How far back are we?
5 miles.
Yeah. So again, the San Onofre is not operative. It's not operative, but as we know, the stuff is still stored there. Yeah, stuff happens. But I appreciate being able to speak to you. Do not, okay, do you remember me a little bit earlier this evening? I said, if there's nothing wrong with you and there's nothing wrong with your house, stay there. You are the safest in your own house. For instance, radiation. I just don't go outside. Stay inside. Shut the windows. Pull the drapes. Time, distance, and shielding. A piece of paper is shielding to a degree.
But in a building evacuation.
In a building evacuation, again, the clubhouses are care and reception centers, but that doesn't mean everybody should evacuate there. Again, if there's nothing wrong with you and there's nothing wrong with your house, you stay there. The chief or the director, the emergency operations director, will say to evacuate. So you don't evacuate unless you're told to.
And Tim Moyne has put that in place, working with the block captains and building captains throughout the village. What Kathleen is outlining for us, obviously, it depends on what kind of disaster hits. If it's an earthquake, it is very likely that roads may not be passable. And so, quite honestly, you would be safer in your home if you cannot travel safely. Many of us do not live close to a clubhouse, which is a care center. If it's a fire, clearly evacuation may be more eminent as a need as opposed to an earthquake. There will be specific instructions. Each of the gatehouses will also be mini command centers if an actual disaster should hit the village. I talked about fire, I talked about earthquake. Somehow the flooding that caused the foundation to start 22 years ago, I don't see that around the corner anymore. Somehow flooding seems like a distant memory. But in those 2 instances, there are plans. I do believe that on the website, and if it's not, I'm going to check tomorrow because I have a VMS meeting. The disaster preparedness plan should be on the website for you to access. If it's not, I'm going to suggest that it be put on because your response will depend on the type of emergency involved. For example, one of the things that we have been doing in the village, there are many retired doctors and nurses in the village, Kathleen is one, And we've been asking security and the disaster to inventory, so we know if we have resources to help residents right here. The concern is if there is an earthquake, emergency services cannot get in and we will not be able to get out. And that's a reality. So just to add. Yeah, go ahead, Beth.
And one of the things that we've decided with GRF is that in a large emergency, we will send out a text message to those that we have your cell phone. If the electricity is still on, of course, we'll be sending out an email, and we may be calling landline numbers. But text messages, and we're still working on how we can get a hold of people in a large emergency.
We thank everybody who's been here this evening. We'll stay for a few minutes if anybody has additional questions. And the handouts that Kathleen has and the foundation handout are on the front tables. Have a great evening. Thanks again.